Hi there. Today is December 19th, and this is my daily December vlog for today, and it's titled Why I Like D10. If you have ever dealt with the probabilities and chances and the science behind all of that concerning dice and role-playing games, you will probably know most of what I'm talking about today. But anyways, there are a lot of people out there who have never really looked into this and who don't really understand the statistics behind dice rolling, and yeah, especially when it comes to multiple dice. And so that's something I want to talk about today. The reason why I called this show Why I Like D10 is simply because I do. We all know pretty well our way around 10th, and so it's really easy to deal with a d10. We know that if you have to roll a 1, that's a 10% chance. If you have to roll a 2, that's a 20% chance, and so on. So it's really easy to deal with that and to calculate your odds if you know what you are rolling against. That becomes a lot more difficult if you are using multiple dice. The same thing goes with the d20, for example, and with all single dice pretty much. But for me personally, I think the D10 is pretty much the best thing. The range is big enough for me. I think a D6 is a little too small, and a D20 is a little too large, so the D10 is right in the middle. And yeah, I do know some people for whom a D20 is already too complicated, because yeah, you have to deal with 5%ers there, and yeah, that's difficult, as you all know. Yeah, it becomes really tricky, I have to say, or I will call it, if you are dealing with multiple dice. And I've got an example prepared here, and please stick with me. It's not as complicated as it looks. What I've got here is the example for 2d6, and the range goes from 1 to 12, obviously. And what I've got here is dice A and die B. Is it dice or die? I think the singular and the plural can both be die and dice. So whatever. I'm sorry if I mess this up. I'm not a native speaker, as you know. So we've got all the different commutations. So we've got all the variants that can make the number that you see here. So for a 2, that's pretty much just 1 and 1. For the 3, it's 1 and 2, and 2 and 1. And yes, that does make a difference, and a big one actually, because the number of combinations that can make up the 2 is just 1, and the number of combinations that can lead to the 3 is 2 already. So if you divide these numbers, the number of cases that lead to the result in the front, and the total number of cases, you have 36 different cases, and which is 6 times 6, obviously, because you're dealing with 2d6. So you've got 6 chances on one die and another 6 on the other one, and so that leads to 36 different outcomes. Yeah, and so it's 1/36 in this case and 2/36 in this case. And if you divide those numbers by, if you divide those two numbers and multiply with 100, you get the percentages. So the difference between rolling a 2 with 2d6 and rolling a 7 with 2d6 is actually a pretty big one, because in one case you've got 2.7 some percent, and in the other one you have got 16.67%. If you add up these here, you will get 100%, obviously. Yeah, so as you see, that makes a pretty big difference, because you've got this pyramid of different chances here. So yeah, if you are raising a skill, for example, and you are raising it in this area, you are getting a lot with every point you spend. So even if you spend the same amount of points, what you get percentage-wise and what happens in terms of increasing your odds is actually pretty big. And on the other side, once you cross the middle here, even if you spend the same amount of points, you've got this decline in the percentage you really get with every point you spend. So I think that's pretty interesting to know. So yeah, I just used the example with 2 dice, but it's the same with 3 or 4 or 5 dice. Only that the jumps actually get much bigger. So with 3d6, for example, you are looking at something like 80% when you are crossing 13. So if your skill level exceeds 13 and you have to roll under that, you're already at 80%. I think it was 80%. I have that in the back of my mind from the GURPS rulebook, which actually has a table to tell you exactly that. That many people don't know anything about. And so, yeah, I could look it up, I guess, but no, I won't do that now. Yeah, that's the thing I wanted to point you to. So if you are considering making a table, for example, for an encounter or something, factor that in because it makes a big difference in the end, and you will wonder why the result you put on the 7 comes up a lot more often than the other ones. And yeah, same thing when you are creating your own system and stuff like that. Many people like this effect. You could call it that you have this that the if you mark up 50% pretty much in the middle of the scale or of the range, it's a rather narrow field, so the extremes are less likely than this middle ground, and many people like that effect. And as I mentioned before, I like to play GURPS, and GURPS uses that pretty heavily. So it uses D6, 3d6, so it uses that effect, obviously. And it uses it in the tables, for example, if you've got critical hits and stuff like that, the really big outcomes that you can have with critical successes, critical failures, critical parries, whatever, are on the sides of the spectrum, and the common outcomes are in the middle of it. So yeah, that's a way that you can use it when you understand these mechanics here. I've got the thing that I just showed you on my other screen. That's why I keep looking over there when I'm referencing it. I don't really know why. Okay, let's not get into that. I'm sorry. So, many people like that, and I do get it. But I personally don't like it because you cannot you cannot just make off the cuff assumptions about your chances. And you can make assumptions, and if you know the effect, you can factor that in. But with a D10, for example, or even a D20 or any single dice, I can tell you within fractions of a second what are the odds that I will succeed in this. And I think that's a good idea because I don't know about you, but especially if I do have a skill in real life, I have usually have a pretty good idea what chances I have to accomplish certain things. And I think that's a good idea to translate to role-playing games. Okay, I feel like I've been rambling on much too long already, so thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe if you like the shit I'm doing here. I shouldn't swear on camera, but I won't cut that out. So, do all that and follow me on Twitter. Come to the Geek and Sundry forums and have fun with me and many other great people there. And I will. I'm pretty sure you cannot read that. I should have tried that before. Sorry, it doesn't work with the background. So, here we go. Okay, I will put all of that in the doodly doo, and yeah, I think I will see you tomorrow. Bye.